good afternoon, everyone. And I really appreciate for you to be here today to be part of our first session of AI learning series. So today we're going to be talking about generative AI for content creation. And as I said before, it is a serious initiative in AI learning series. But before we go straight to the content or to the topic, there are a couple introductions I would like to make, and I'm going to so introduce you my PowerPoints, which basically the first slide was what you have just seen, and here you have the today's agenda, which we're going to start first with introductions. You're going to get to know our team and also our speakers of today's sections. Then we're going to talk deeply about the topic, which is generative AI for content creations. Then we're going to have a very interactive moment where you can ask some questions, and our speaker is going to provide some answers on your questions. And finally, we're going to consider the session we're going to consider this session closed. Then I will move to my next slide, which basically I'm going to introduce you my team or our team per se. We have here our director, which is today with us in this session, which who is Margie Pinel, which is the director of CETO once again. And we have also Beth Robsky, which is another instructional designer from CETO. We have Sally Rivera, who is the administrative specialist of CETO. We have Carrie Dixon, and also we have Carrie Dixon, who is the tech coordinator. You have me, João Malenga. I'm also an instructional designer for CETO. And finally, David, who is the education media manager. I guess you have seen or met these people before. Then I'm going to move to my next slider, which who you can see now the speakers of today's session, Dr. Juhee Kim, who is a clinical assistant professor of educational leadership and counseling in the College of Education here at the University of Idaho, and also the Health and Human Science. Dr. Juhee areas of expertise varies from leadership development, educational policy, rural education, educational technology, with focuses on AI and also community partnership. Well, I'd like to say more about Dr. Juhee, but basically she holds a education doctorate in educational leadership and policy studies, and also a PhD in youth education and leadership. Her research is widely cited in peer-reviewed journals, including Frontiers, and focuses on school leadership and educational policy. Her work addresses emerging issues such as empower educational leader for AI integration in rural STEM education, challenges and strategies, school leaders and AI-driven education, a comparative study of readiness, perception, and implementation strategies, and many other related topics. So with that being said, I'm going to hand over the word to Dr. Juhee, which she's going to tell us more about today's session. Thank you very much for this moment. And Dr. Juhee, now I can give you the mic. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Malanga. Such a kind, very generous introduction about me. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for being here today. I'm really glad to see you all and very excited. Please give me a moment. I'm gonna share my screen. Can you see my screen?
Yes, Dr. Juhee, we can see your screen. Now we can see you now. We were seeing your screen before.
Okay.
Yes, now we can see it.
Wait a minute. Okay. Thank you again. And then I want to start by saying this is meant to be a conversation. It's not a lecture. So I'm not here to show you the fancy AI tool or right way to use AI. Instead, I want us to think together about how generative AI can support the real work we do as a faculty or instructor and the content we design and revise and create every single week. So I will share some example, but I really hope you will jump in and ask questions or share where you're working or what feel uncomfortable. All that belong here. So as many of you have already experienced, AI didn't slowly knock on the door. It just walked into our classroom. So students are already using tools like ChatGPT or Gemini and lots of image generator, whether we planned or not. So the question is not if AI will affect teaching, it's more how we as a faculty choose the shape that more impactful. So honestly, there's where our expertise matter more than any tool ever could. As Malanka introduced me and with my research area, a lot of my research is in educational leadership. And I bring that up because it'll be helpful reminder. AI is never just about technology. It's about access, time, training, funding. There are many discourse nowadays I can hear, but and the reality we are all working within. So throughout today, I will keep coming back to one simple idea. AI has to work for our context, my context, your context. So not the other way around. So when people talk about AI, we often jumping straight to productivity. We know it's very effective, efficient, but for me, content creation is really about learning design. It's the heart of teaching. So we create content before class, during class, and after class. So generate AI can help reduce workload, definitely, but even improve quality. But only when you stay in the driver's seat. That's very important. So that's the mindset I will model today. Very briefly, my current research look at how educators and leaders make sense of AI adoption in their education setting. So what helps, what get in the way, or what ethical leadership looks like. But I won't go deep today with method kind of theory. But I wanna us to know the example, and I'm sharing our ground in the real educator perception or experience, not just theory or headline. I like this model. You can see because it explains a lot of emotion around AI. Maybe some people are very excited, some people are cautious, and some are overwhelmed. Oh, I don't know where to start. And all of that is normal because we are all different stage of adoption for changing innovation. So wherever you are in completely okay. My goal is not to make you an AI expert within 1 hour today, but it's just to help you take one small comfortable step forward. So I don't know where you are using the AI tool or when you create the content, but we are all different, but it's okay. So these are my research questions, guide my work, how people perceive AI and what strategies help, and how we make sure equity stay front and center. You will hear these themes through the example today. To explore this research question, I worked with my amazing colleague, Dr. Wargo, and we used a mixed method approach. Basically, we combine the number data with the story, then look at where they lined up. And we surveyed 133 education leaders. They are principal, superintendent, or tech coordinator, and leading teachers. And then we follow a focus group to hear their experience in more depth. And the survey gave us the very big picture. The conversation helped us to understand what was really happening on the ground. And here's one takeaway I want to share across context. They want more practical, ethical, and realistic guidance, not the hype. We don't want to read a long policy. Give us something more practical I can use in my school, my education setting. So that's exactly I'm for today too. I usually every year attending the Idaho Association School Administrators Conference. And then last year, me and my colleague asked the participants about what's the one word come to your mind about AI? I always smile at this word cloud because it feels so human, like excitement, and also we can see some worry at the same time. So that tension is actually a good thing because it means we are thinking critically, and that's exactly what we want in the model for students. So from my research finding, 48% educator view AI in education positively. This perception reflect pretty typical their experience, which tell us something important. So most educators are interested, want to learn about AI tool to using in the school, but they just want to start safely. That's that we can find out from their perception or their challenging from the survey. When we ask about a education leader about their biggest challenge with AI, three things come up again and again. First was data privacy and bias. Educator leaders are excited, but also very cautious, especially when tools are built from data that doesn't reflect their context. So one leader put it perfectly, like we are expect to use tools, but we don't fully understand, and we are not sure it's really I can apply in my context, in my setting. That's what we heard. And then second one is ethical use. Leaders, educators are not just worried about cheating, plagiarism. They want guidance on how to model and teach responsible AI use, not just one student about what not to do, what to do, what you can do, what you cannot do, something like that. So, and those themes, those description we can read from during the focus group interview. And then the third one is lack of the clear plan. AI is on the radar for many institutions, school, district, but without shared goal, and adoption feel like scattered, like instead of intentional. So that's the key away. And that's the like a key takeaway for me. The biggest barrier is not the technology, it's the time, support, and clarity. So that's why content creation is such a great place to start. It's a very low risk and high impact, and it fit naturally into the work you are already doing. So this is where the story really shift from challenging to possibility. One data point to three leadership strategies that are making a real differences in the education context, especially in rural. First, infrastructure. Educators are advocating for equitable funding and building local partnership to improve connectivity. So, and also culture is very important because leaders are that's the like creating environment that welcome innovation and encouraging critical thinking. So one superintendent said to us, like, we need to teach curiosity, learning some new technology, but we need to teaching the caution, how to safely use it, ethically use it at the same time. And then the last one is capacity building. Educators are investing in professional learning that blend technical skill with teaching, also teaching practice. So about the quarter of respondent prioritize AI training for teachers. We really need that. And also another 20% highlight students' AI literacy. So that is very essential for the future, for our curriculum, like changing. So many school district, because I'm the education field, so they are using the trainer model because which make a lot of sense when resources are limited. So here's the big takeaway. Educator leadership is not just about adapting the tool. It's about building learning culture where teacher and students grow together with technology. And this connect directly to all of you. Faculty don't need to pressure. They need permission, support, and clarity. That's where Cyril is such a powerful partner, helping translate idea and practice and policy into our everyday teaching practice. Hopefully, right? And what we learned is very simple. People are willing to learn, but they want guardrail, not mandate. And they want example that fit their teaching, not the someone else. So regarding AI content creation, I like to pause a little bit here and ask you, when you hear the word of content in higher education, what comes in your mind first? Can you type a word in your chat box? And then Malanga, can you
Yes, I'll be reading. We have
track?
one lectures, we have lesson plans, uh, we have handouts, guides. Let's see what else is coming. Social media, in-class demonstrations, resources, lab procedures, syllabus, uh, background research, agendas
Mhm.
using backward design, real-world examples. Yeah,
Great.
these
Perfect.
are these are the ones we have. Wow, very
Thank you so
insightful.
much. Thank you so much for participating in the chat box using your word. Most people say lecture, syllabus, or some material, the course material, activity, the material. Yes, that's correct. Actually, everything you design for student learning, such a like a, as I say, course design, instructional material, and assessment tool, and also when you support the students, you are using some guideline or learning resources. Yeah, those things can be all of them, like we can say contents. And once you see that, you start to realize how many hours or where you spend creating it, or where AI might quietly help you. We're gonna come back this in a few minutes when we open up the discussion. I see AI works best as a thinking partner, not a content replacement. Notice from the slide, these are all support uses for like when you draft or revise material or create example at different level of students, or course activity design. From my experience, AI really good at the first draft, and also variation when you make a differentiate the level, and structure better than me, like perfect sometimes. Like I doubt, sometimes, this structure is like I cannot make that much like great. So, but AI like they they that's some very something like a very tricky part, like in my experience, like they are very confident even though they make wrong information. So that's why I say as a first draft is very good, but I like to say AI is not doing my job because they need a supervisor. So I'm asking it to help me start. So uh, when I like using the ChatGPT, like I'm saying, I'm teaching graduate school students, help me draft a discussion prompt that encourages critical thinking and application, and including reflection. And my topic is ethical use in AI in higher education, and include three guiding questions. Something make very specific, and then let them know like exactly what the I should need to give them more detail, so the AI understand what my specific question or request. So prompt I'm using this one, and again AI serve as a starting point, not a replacement for my expertise. The refinement process stage is where your professional pedagogical knowledge and discipline specific insight and understanding of your students transform AI generate content into effective teaching materials. So this is where educators usually have their first aha moment. They can ask AI to have a structured lecture, suggest example, even metaphor, and then they refine it. That's the important process. It's like having a teaching assistant who never get tired. So, but but still need our supervision because they don't have enough like culture background or context or nuance, something important, but they usually missing the part. So they need your supervision. This is my favorite use when I make a slide using the ChatGPT. When I short a prep time, I'm putting the prompt, create an outline for like a 15-minute mini lecture for graduate students on generating AI for content creation in teaching, include 3 key points with one example for each. And then they generate very great information, but the selection, choose what you're gonna use is your expertise. So you know the context, the learning goal. You know you know your students, so you can like refine, advise, like revise that information. So it's like several times go and back and go back. So that's the way I'm using when I refine. And this is one of my favorite use, creating multiple versions of a prompt, especially when you have a group discussion and then with a different topic, and then with one big title, but if you want to make a more diverse and variated some question, you can quickly like differentiate, increase rigor, more academic way, or best thing is adding real world scenarios like some case studies. So this is the situation in the school, and then what is your ethical decision as a leader, and then reflect your experience, something like that. And also regarding transparent AI integration, AI integration is like when you use AI, and you better clear to let students know I use this one like a structure or feedback material. So let them know I use the AI, so they can learn also. Or when they use AI tool, they can open that up. I put the one sentence, my slide in the beginning. I use the Zenma to create these slides because they provide very nice design. So I can save tons of time to design the presentation and look better like a design. But we need to clear like a disclosure, like you should say, this is from AI, some resources as a resources. And this slide usually get a little sigh of relief if you have a big class, like if you have many students, and then you need to give them feedback fast. AI should never replace grading. That's the truth. But it can absolutely help with feedback language. So I'm usually having some feedback banks, example, and and you can give the fast turnaround when students can still revise the assignment. So this is like especially for I'm the international faculty, so even I'm like English is my second language, so I want to give them very supportive and very concise professional feedback. But I don't need to worry about from the zero. I can use some of good language. So the one always get this is very like, for example, my prompt is create a feedback bank for a writing assignment, include example of feedback for strong work and developing work and work needing significant revision. So, but the tone should be supportive and specific. I using this word in the prompt, but I still personalize it because that they're like generative, the example is not perfect. It's not very like, they don't know very well than me about my students. So I still personalize it. And then, but but I no longer start from zero. So that's the very like cool thing for when I use the AI tool. And this slide is part of responsible AI use. Now when the technology getting advanced very higher, and then the other side, the ethic issue is also coming together. So transparency builds students between students and you guys. So transparency is very important to make it clear and let them know what you use. Maybe it's like a way you also expect from students when you use AI tool, make it clear what part, how you use this one. And also quality control is very important. It's really protect the students because I told the AI their hallucination is sometimes very pretend it's real good information, but if you are digging in more, you can find some error or bias. And equity reminds us not everyone has the same access or experience, which means we have to be intentional when you approach the equity issue to applying. And so leaderships matter here, not just for administrative leadership, but faculty leadership too. So we need clear policy, we need clear syllabus, and also we need to learn, like we need training, professional development, and also infrastructure is very important. It make ethical AI use feel more possible, not scary way. So this slide, I wanted to what's the implication for leadership? Yes, we need this kind of support and investment. Yes, remember, focus on learning outcomes, not the AI tool themselves. Start where you feel comfortable, experiment in low stakes context, and build your practice gradually. If you take nothing else away today, take this slide, like one assignment, one activity, one feedback change. That's more than enough to start building confidence. And now I just talk not deep way. It's very shallow, but I want to talk more like wide extent. I really love to hear from you now. First, before I told you, I want to know where do you spend the most of time creating content? For example, like me, I really of course, it's depending on the type of content you are creating. For example, generating teaching material, I mostly use tools like ChatGPT, Gemini to help me draft or revise or brainstorm. But for research aspect, I lean on another tool like Perplexity or GenAI or Site, some other AI tool to help me navigating literature and idea more efficiently. For presentation and visualizing, and I used to today I use the Gemma or Fellow is also amazing tool. Like when you make a flow chart or mind map, I'm using maybe 5 AI tool I'm using, it depending on what content I need. But honestly, there are so many AI tools out there. But some function, advanced features, they usually ask me the paid membership. So, so part of work is also figuring out like which one are really actually worth my time and money. And then, if you subscribe 5 AI tool website, but I cannot pay all of the things. So we needed some support. So, and also, yeah, that's I'm thinking. And uh, maybe I'm gonna start this question, and then I know the Malanga gonna lead another discussion from my presentation. So, and maybe you can share first my question. What do you spend the most time creating content? And then would you please using the chat box where you usually use, and then maybe one more, what feel risky or unclear about AI use? Those two questions, either one, you can type in the chat box, and then please, Malanga, lead
Yeah,
from
I will read
here.
out for you. We have one submission that says rubrics. We have another one that says, I use it to get ideas about agendas for workshops using backward design. We have
Great,
another one, learning activities.
great. Mhm.
I think we have more coming. We have one more, making online course videos. And we have one more. I spend the most time providing feedback to students in the assignment Dropbox after grading cases.
Yeah. Mhm.
I think there are still more coming. And we have one question, Dr. Juhee. The
Yes.
question is, where or how would you save a feedback bank that you've created for a particular assignment? Is that something you can do within a specific AI platform? Or would you just use AI to generate the comments, then save them to a file?
Okay, wonderful. Great question.
Yeah,
Yes.
and we have one more submission that says, I spend I guess I read this one already. I spend the most time providing feedback to students in the assignment. I have read it this already about the assignment Dropbox after grading cases. All right. So we have that
Okay.
question. Dr. Johi, would you mind to
Yeah,
answer that question?
sure, sure. Sure. Thank you for your question and your participation. In my case, the like saving the feedback bank, actually is in the beginning I saved in the file form in my drive, but now I don't save anymore in the file. For example, I'm using ChatGPT, but I'm the paid member, so I pay from out of my pocket. But they have a good function like a project. So maybe I can. Do you want me to show you how to using that one, or like I saved in the uh project. So I can make a small folder if you paid member. So, uh, for example, like mm, I can share. Okay. Okay. Uh-oh.
We were seeing your slide.
Yeah, no, I want to share
The
for
chat
example,
GPT
ChatGPT
interface. Okay.
as a one of the example. Okay, here you go. Can you see my ChatGPT?
Yes.
Yeah. Uh, but I don't insist you should be a paid member. But if you are a paid member, $20 per month, and then they provide project here, so you can make your own folder. So if you click the one folder like this, my class, and then I can have my history here. So like I can see all my answer to feedback students. So it can be some maybe related to the course content also. So I have all the history. So it can save it in here. So now I don't like save anymore in my file, my own one, my computer, but yes. But this is one of AI tool, ChatGPT. There's another lot of AI website, but do you remember .com, like long time, like 20 years ago, there's so many .com, many company was like bubble.com. And then later, just a few .com left, right?
Yeah.
Something like it. Now, you don't have to even remember how many AI tools around there. Like I saw one of our online institution. Oh, we have one month, 20 days, like a package program. You can learn so many different AI tools when you writing the essay using this one, when you analyze data using this one, when you like there's many different, but I'm sure within 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, it's gonna be refined and then maybe very strong AI tool gonna be survive. Yes. And then Malanga, would you lead the questions?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. Actually, we are in our Q&A time. Feel free to ask any question to Dr. Juhee. I myself have some questions, but I'm gonna give you the chance to ask any questions according to the presentation or something that you think is related to the topic. Well, I think I'm going to go first. Dr. Juhee, what my first question you have already covered. It was about how we can effectively integrate generative AI in education. You have covered that very well, and I appreciate that from you. And I'm going to move on to the next question, which is basically in what ways can we leverage generative AI as a helpful starting point for content creation while avoiding over reliance on automated outputs. For example, some people use AI, but people who use AI effectively are those who have good metacognition skills. And there are those who don't have those good metacognition skills will that become over reliant on this tool. And the question is, how can we use this tool effectively without being, for example, over reliant on that?
Mhm. Wonderful question. Yes. After my answer, I also want to hear what the participants have the more better, like they have insight about this question too. I think of AI as helping me get a start when the blank page feel very heavy. Like, oh, I want to start. Even when I advising my student, oh, I want to writing my dissertation, but I don't know where to start. I'm thinking this one, but oh, it doesn't make a very good structure. So that time, like when the blank page feel very heavy to you, using the AI tool is very good starting point. And I let it generate structure and example, and but then I intentionally revise and questioning and improve what it gave to me. Otherwise, like because they're very polished grade, but it's very general. It's not very specific. So the editing steps, that is very what keeps the faculty your judgment at the center and prevent over reliance. So That's I'm thinking, but how about others? Would you please share your insight about his question?
Do you have anyone who would like to provide some insights on my question? I'll be really happy to hear from you as well. And we have one question, actually, not a question, a request for Cito. Would what would help me the most? Actual how-to sessions. I have no idea how to use AI platforms or which one to use, much less how to get these types of outputs out of them. That's a very good and insightful. And we at Cito, we're going to develop uh, a very another sessions which are going to be more how to use certain available AI tools so that those who want to get started using AI can also, for example, be using the AI tool and also applying these theories that Dr. Juhee is sharing with us today. We appreciate that, and in our future sessions, we're gonna have those how getting started sessions for people who are getting started with AI, and we are also going to design some insightful resources for you all. And thank you very much, Yudi Zhu, sorry for mispronouncing the name, for sharing the article Guidance for Artificial Intelligence. Thank you so much for that. All right, so I have one more question as the audience. The participants are not making questions. Actually, I have written some questions when I was reading the slide from Dr. Juhee because I find this resource very insightful. And when it comes to AI, because I'm really interested in AI, I've been doing some research also in AI, and sharing knowledge with people who are also doing the same is really insightful. My other question would be more about AI limitation, mainly generative AI. We know that it has some limitations, and I see that as an opportunity for us humans to take advantage. But my question would be, what limitation do you see, Dr. Juhee, in current generative AI tools like ChatGPT, Copilot, etc.? And how might educator address these challenges when use AI in the classroom? How can they address the limitations of generative AI content while they are using the classroom?
Yes, great question. Yes, of course, there are limitations. AI tool, as I said, AI tools can sound very confident, and even when they generate wrong information, this is the right caution, caution, they don't always understand context, cultures, and or nuance, very different small nuance. So that's why quality checking the information, what the AI generate, quality checking, and also your disciplinary expertise in your area, your fields. So that is very essential. So we cannot outsource judgment. So I also think being transparent with the students about these limitations, turn them to make them more like a critical user instead of a passive consumer. So they should know. But maybe within 5 years, my saying now this one will be okay, but I don't know after 5 years later, like 5 years later, AI agent, they gonna be more smarter and they know they can make their own decision. And then that time, I'm not sure, but I'm not talking very like after 5 years. I'm just talking about this semester or next semester when I revise my content. So far we are more smarter than AI, a certain part, and so I think being transparency with the students, like what. So now we let students know or how students use AI in this coursework. So there's some option like fully allow they're using AI or partially we allow students using AI, but they should let us know which one they use, how they apply, how they use the AI in their assignment. Or third one, they can use whatever, any tool, any AI tool they can use. So it's depending on the faculty, the course design. They they decide some options. So in my case, I usually choose the third option. I open to every AI tool, but when I usually emphasize, I need your reflection from your experience. I don't need like fact information that is generate AI can generate, but how do you digest this knowledge, this skill, like in your setting, in your through your experience? So intentional design is very important about creating assignment where learning cannot be automated from AI. So where students have to apply idea or making decision or reflection or connect to their own experience. So AI cannot do the thinking about them like than students. So we have to very intentionally design that. So I'm from this semester, I'm also thinking, I cannot change the whole my Canvas course, but maybe one assignment, I'm gonna try changing something AI cannot automatically like generate the answer.
Thank you, Dr. Juhee. I don't have any question for today, and I really appreciate your answers. And I'd like to ask to the participants if there is anyone who has any question, you can feel free to turn on your microphone, or you can type your question on the chat, and I can read it for you. So yeah, I'm gonna give the chance for the participants to ask
In
some
the
questions.
meantime, right. In the meantime, student put a question. I have a many questions, very like some question I usually have, like how do we see generate AI change the time demand of teaching, like realistically? So it really reduce your workload, your time. But in my experience, AI doesn't eliminate work. It just shift to where we spend our time. It reduced the time spent definitely starting from scratch, of course, and give me more time to refinement, feedback, and to interact with the student. So that's the trade-off many faculty find valuable once they try it. So it's just changing my more focus work. That's I'm thinking.
Thank you so much, Dr. Juhei, once again. Well, today was the first session, and I appreciate everybody who could participate in this first session. And more importantly, I also appreciate Dr. Juhei for your wonderful presentation and sharing your research, sharing your experience, and what you have been doing with AI. We do really appreciate that. And we are going to, of course, also prepare you to be here some other day with a different topic. So I like also to highlight to the participant that this is the first session. There are three more sessions coming with the title Academic Apocalypse, which is going to be the next section, AI in the future of higher education. And in a while, our third session, we're going to have a how to get started with AI, which I'm going to be the presenter, and it's going to be also another interactive session with you all so we can get started using AI tools. And finally, we're going to talk about the future of AI in the classroom, which we're going to have also another guest from other universities sharing his his research, his applications with AI, which actually that's going to be the last session, and it's going to be a very hands-on tool. You're going to see people who are actually producing, for example, applications, website using AI, and it's going to be another opportunity also of some people know how to create their own AR agent, and for faculty maybe to use it as your assistant. So for today, we're gonna close here. We're gonna finish here. And I really once again appreciate you all. Thank you very much for participating. I appreciate my team to be here today for supporting me. And see you all in the next section. Thank you so much, Dr. Juhee. Have a good one, you all.
Thank
Thank you.
you.
Bye bye.